Hello to the listeners of Montcast, both the new and the old show. This little blurb is gonna get uploaded twice, once to each feed. So here is how Montcast is going to operate going forward. The original Montcast that you're already subscribed to if you were nice enough to subscribe in that first little run I did before I took a break in the summer. That podcast is unchanged. Weekly episodes are coming back starting next week. So 1 week from when this publishes. The Video Games Explained series will operate, but with no schedule, and basically don't expect anything from it this year. Unfortunately, that was an extra thing that I was dabbling into that I cannot afford to operate at the time being, but it's not canceled. It's just postponed. And Montcast will have a third podcast feed. If you're so inclined to subscribe to that one, awesome. It will take some time to get that third feed out to the distribution network. But if you follow the Montcast Twitter, it'll be there. You can subscribe. The easiest way is just through my host, Spreaker. You can both listen and download the episodes through Spreaker. But it will be coming to iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, all that good stuff that you know and expect from a Montcast podcast. Basically, the new show is going to be called the Montcast Esports Report, and it's going to be a deeper dive into esports. Esports is still going to be in the main podcast, but only as esports news qualifies as video game news, essentially, if you catch my drift. So the main podcast is going to be its normal self, and as esports makes video game news, that will be included in the original podcast, but just highlights. It's not going to be anything remotely resembling a deep dive. The esports report is going to be more of a deep dive. It's not going to have a set publishing schedule, but it will follow all the major esports events you expect Montcast to cover. So your Counter-Strike Global Offensive major tournaments, definite. The major esports world championships like League of Legends, Dota 2, you can count on that. DreamHacks, not necessarily, but certainly not being ruled out. It'll be an event-by-event basis that I decide to cover any given esports event, and it will essentially be me breaking down, probably in stages. Like, for example, the League of Legends World Championship is on right now. I am going to, after this episode is done, I'm going to record a recap for the play-in group stage of that, and then I'm going to break down the next stage, which is the play-in knockout stage. And each round of that tournament in particular, because there's days in between the rounds, it works out really nicely that I can break it down in depth and give some analysis on each of that. And like I say, it's going to be, each episode is going to pertain to a single event, and the big events are obviously going to have multiple episodes. So like a Counter-Strike Global Offensive Major, you can anticipate an episode coming out leading up to that. I'll break down the teams that are in it, the teams that are trying to qualify for it. As it goes on, I will break it down even further, how the tournament is developing, and then a recap at the end. So I hope that makes sense. It's just the esports report is more of a deep dive into specific esports tournaments and gameplay that it should be fun. I'm really looking forward to it. But basically, if you're a big esports fan, that's more the podcast for you. But if you want your video game news, stick to the main podcast that you know and love, and you'll be happy. So, yeah, everybody will be happy anyways. But that's the form that Montcast is going to take for now. And there's more to come, hopefully in the future. But I'll announce that when it happens. Have a great day. And thank you to Approaching Nirvana for continuing to provide the background music for all of the Montcast Podcast Network shows. Thanks and have a great one.